Okay, so going through my rosters, I see a couple names that I recognize. So my seventh graders, who are now eighth graders, came back, and my sixth graders, who are now seventh graders, came back. Not all of them, but some of you, and there are some new guys. So the first week is kind of easy peasy, man. Um, it's basic stuff, Google Suite, and yesterday or the first day, really easy stuff. You're just telling me how you think about the video, looking at the video. It's to work out the kinks, right? So as we're going through this, were you able to log in? Did you have issues? What kind of emails am I receiving? We don't know what this is going to look like, okay? Like, it's Friday right now, okay? It's Friday. As I'm talking to you in this video, it's Friday. It's not Wednesday of next week. I'm doing most of my lessons this weekend for the next 2 weeks. So we don't know what this is going to look like yet. We're all going to kind of feel our way through it. So, I'm keeping it easy in the first week, kind of getting a flow going, seeing what it's going to look like. And then once we really know, which from what I'm listening to and the conversations we're having, we might be able to get rolling in the second week. Okay. Definitely the third week. I don't think it's going to go that long. I'm actually pretty optimistic. Everybody is very motivated, and that is what we need to make this work. So my first week, and then those of you who've already had me, this is going to be a kind of a duplication because you probably have already heard this. And oh well. I like to do my intros in the beginning. I like to talk about what we're doing here. So now it's even more prominent. Okay. So instead of having you click a video, this is a long video. Okay. So if you haven't already looked in the corner of the video and seen, oh my God, I don't even know how long it's going to be. This is me talking to you in the beginning because I have spliced it up. So video production is a thing. Okay, using Blender, we're going to learn that. So I've extended the class. So we got robotics, 3D printing, we have game programming, website design, video production. So learning how to do what I'm doing here, where you take videos and you edit them, just like I'm doing right now. Okay, I use a program called Blender to do that, so you can learn Blender as well. I also use Windows Movie Maker, which I might actually use for this video because I'm not doing any like time changing or anything like that, but let me not get ahead of myself. And then, yeah, video production, and I think I covered everything, but there'll be more, I'm sure. I'm always adding new things and being creative over here. So it's a new thing because normally you would be sitting in this class with me and we would be going through the video, and then I would stop the video and I would have a discussion with my students and tell them what I think and get what they think and really feel it out. But you're at home and I'm here. So I've decided that instead of just posting these videos and having you watch these videos and then giving me your thoughts at the end of it, that I would just do the interjection and do the conversation. So today might be a lot of watching a video, and then when you get to the email part, you'll email me your thoughts and your feelings and all that, and then we'll actually get into how to use Gmail and how to get really into depth with Gmail. But strap in. So right now, if you're sitting, well, you are sitting at your computer, but if you don't have a drink, hit the pause button, go run to your kitchen, get something to drink. Okay, you want to have a drink, at least a glass of water. Okay, you want to sit back, you want to be in a comfortable chair. Okay, I recommend, if you don't have a little work desk in your room, you might want to take your laptop onto your bed. Okay, but don't fall asleep. Okay, you want to pay attention to this. Don't fall asleep. So you want to be comfortable enough that you're not like, it hurts, but not so comfortable that you could pass out on me. Okay, you gotta find that in between. Get that drink, because it's going to be a long video. Okay, we got several videos we're going to go through because what I normally would do over a course of several days. Like, so we're talking about the first week. So normally, the first day we're doing the Google Doc thing that you did yesterday, but kids are in the classroom. So I'm helping kids log in to the system while other kids are doing the Google Doc, and you would have your headsets on and you'd be watching the video, but you're home. So it's a change up. But I'm still going to do this intro that I do. I'm just going to do it in a different way. So it's going to be a little bit long because I'm going to be cutting in. I'm going to be talking. We're going to be having conversations. So strap in, guys. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now we have the first video. I haven't played the first video yet. I just did 2 cuts because I didn't really know how it was going to go. So I wanted to watch the first video. But I want to talk about this first video. So this first video is called I Sued the School System. And a student showed this to me my first year working at HMS. And she was a very smart girl. Okay, she brought this to me and she was like, look, Mr. Hernandez, I saw this video. And this is what I feel and this is what I think. And a lot of students agree with this video. So I use this as a point of education. I use this as a point of discussion. Because unfortunately, in today's day and age, students are very easily fooled by whatever they hear. So if I post something on Facebook and it gets a lot of likes and people agree with it, we take that as truth. Like I'm saying something that's true, and it may not actually be true. So let's just get started and then I will break it down.
Albert Einstein once said, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid.
So here's my first interjection. I went to Google, I typed in Albert Einstein quote, fish tree. The very first thing that comes up, history.com. Here are 6 things Albert Einstein never said. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So right off the bat, guys, this video is giving you a lie. Just telling you how it is, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today on trial we have modern day schooling. Glad you could come. Not only does he make fish climb trees, but also makes them climb down and do a 10-mile run. Tell me, school, are you proud of the things you've done? Turning millions of people into robots, do you find that fun? Do you realize how many kids relate to that fish? Swimming upstream in class, never finding their gifts, thinking they are stupid, believing they are useless? Well, the time has come, no more excuses. I call school to the stand and accuse him of killing creativity, individuality, and being intellectually abusive. He's an ancient institution that has outlived his usage. So, Your Honor, this concludes my opening statement, and if I may present the evidence of my case, I will prove it.
Proceed.
Exhibit A. Here's a modern day phone. Recognize it? Here's a phone from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Stay with me. Here's a car from today, and here's a car from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Well, get this. Here's a classroom of today.
Instead of cutting to my face, I decided I would just talk right as we're looking at this picture here. So he says, this is a school of today. Okay. Well, I guess a school of last year because we're all at home right now. but that's okay, right? So our traditional idea of school. I'll tell you what I see as a teacher in this picture. I see every child, every single child in their desk with their hand up in the air. Now, you're a student. How many times have you been in class and every single person in the class had their hand raised and was ready to go? Not to mention, little details like the teacher doesn't even have anything on either of the boards behind her. So what are they raising their hand? Maybe she's asking a question. But What I'm seeing in this picture is 100% engagement from all of her students. Okay, then there's other things I could see in here that I'm sure you would point out, given our current climate about racism, etc. This is not a very diverse classroom, but I don't want to get into that conversation. We could just stick to children 100% engaged. As a teacher, if 6 years, I have never had 100% engagement. Where is the kid sneaking chips under his desk? Where are the kids that are on their phone texting some other kid in another class? Where is the kid that's asleep? Okay, where is all of the non, uh, we'll just say bad behavior? Okay, where's that? Okay, that's a real classroom. Okay, and every kid's in their desk. Where's the kid that went to the bathroom? Because there's always a kid in the bathroom. So this video is, as our president would call, fake news. It's not telling you the truth. It is selling you a story. Okay, it is telling you what it wants you to think, and it's not the truth. And that's not fair. If you're going to present something, you need to present it truthfully.
And here's a class we used 150 years ago.
Okay, so this picture is more believable in my opinion. I look at this, I go, okay, yeah, that's what I would figure a school would look like, 150 years ago. Nobody's got their hands in there in this picture. So, the argument that he'll continue to make as I play, which I'm not going to stop in the next one, is that nothing has changed. I don't know. The first picture looked better. At least all the kids had their hand in the air. Now no kids have the hand in the air. So, your own argument is telling me that things have improved. At least now we have engagement. But like I said in the first image, I feel like that's a lie because it doesn't really depict what a real school looks like. Come into Humble Middle School any given day and take a picture. Don't tell them you're coming.
Now ain't that a shame? In literally more than a century, nothing has changed. Yet you claim to prepare students for the future? But with evidence like that, I must ask, do you prepare students for the future or the past? I did a background check on you and let the record show that you were made to train people to work in factories, which explains why you put students in straight rows, nice and neat, tell them sit still, raise your hand if you want to speak, give them a short break to eat, and for 8 hours a day tell them what to think. Oh, and make them compete to get an A letter which determines product quality, hence grade A of meat. I get it. Back then, times were different. We all have a past. I myself am no Gandhi. But today, we don't need to make robot zombies. The world has progressed. And now we need people who think creatively, innovatively, critically, independently, with the ability to connect.
Now that part, I do agree with. The world is changing. But I believe that school has changed with it. I believe that it's not a perfect system, but there is no perfect system. As an adult, I have learned that perfection is impossible because things are always changing. So it's not fair to accuse the school system of shortfalls because there are shortfalls in everything. So do we throw the entire system away because we don't agree with the way certain things are, or do we adapt and change? I believe we should adapt and change. And with that said, our school district, our superintendent, our school board, and the things that they do are innovative. They are cutting edge. As your STEM teacher, STEM didn't even exist when I came to HMS 3 years ago. There was no STEM program. So it was created around me and my expertise and my knowledge base and Miss Johnson, the principal, has really worked with me to get these things rolling. But there is a process to making it happen. And that process is not the fault of the educational system. That process is not the fault of anything. It's called democracy. It's the way things work. It has to be voted on. It has to be approved. People have to agree with it. You can't just make things happen. Okay, so my first argument with this video, of course, as I've already said, is that they lied to you in the beginning to lead you down a path to believe what they believe. But the other part that I'm complaining about, or I don't agree with this video, is that it's not talking about the process by which things occur. It's placating to children. So you would watch this and you say, yeah, this needs to be done. Okay, but it's not like I just go flick a switch and make something happen. In fact, if I go talk to the principal and say, hey, I want to make this happen, okay, there are very few things that she can make happen immediately. There's a process that has to go about even for her, because there's hierarchy. There's people you have to answer to. So there are some things that you can immediately do. Right? So like I'm the teacher, I have power. If a kid comes to me and says, hey, I want to have a pizza party in the class, right? Then that's something I can do. I can immediately say, okay, we're going to have a pizza party on Friday. Then I will just go inform Miss Johnson that we're going to have a pizza party. And I've never had her say no to me about that. Okay. But I would clear it with her. Why? Because maybe bringing somebody to the building on that day is a bad idea because we have something else going on that I didn't know about. Okay. But either way, that could be very easily arranged and scheduled and made to have happen. Okay. However, you say, hey, I want to bring drones in because that's a big thing that I have been working on, trying to get drones in here. Right. And we were like this close to getting drones this summer, but we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it didn't happen. So you can't say, oh, the educational system is out of date and this is not fair and the kids deserve better, because there's a system by which things are done. People have to be approved. Money has to be moved. Things have to happen, right? So actually a perfect example when it comes to children and patients, okay, and I'll bring this to you from my own personal experience. My own daughter, I have 3 daughters, but my oldest daughter, Alexis, she is more responsible, does her work all the time, okay? We give them an allowance based on, the things that they do in the house. They can earn tokens. But if they get into trouble, they get tokens taken away. And then at the end of each month, they could trade in for allowance and whatnot, right? Well, my oldest daughter, Alexis, she's on point with that and really makes it happen. My middle daughter, Alana, not so much. She does, she doesn't do her chores right away. She is constantly having to get yelled at and put back on task. Okay, so she doesn't earn the tokens, or she'll mess up. And then she'll have her tokens taken away. So she's less mindful of these things. So then we go out and it's like, oh, I don't have any money to do anything. And I'm upset because I can't afford anything. But Alexis gets to do whatever she wants. Well, Alexis was responsible and did what she had to do. And she went through the process. So there's a month long that she has to wait in order to turn those tokens into actual dollars. And then even in that process, like when Alana does get that money, she immediately runs to the store to buy whatever she wants, or doesn't really want, just wants it in the moment, like candy and chips and whatnot, while Alexis will hold on to her tokens, right? So Alexis won't buy that stuff, and then 3, 4, 5 months goes by and she's got $20 and she's like, I got $20, $50, whatever. Or she'll have a birthday and then still hold on to her money. Okay, at one point she had over $100 because she saved it all. Okay, and that's great. That's smart. That's called, planning, and that's exactly what I'm trying to teach. But my daughter Alana, she's younger, so it takes her a little bit longer to figure it out. She'll get there, but it takes her a little bit longer to figure it out. So she gets mad. Oh, why does Alexis get to do that? Because she was planning and she was saving. Okay, there is a process. It's called being an adult, being patient, and that's what you are learning to be. Okay, so that's probably the key with this video. Okay, school has changed with the times, and really, when we're going to get into this more, especially people who take video production, we're going to get into, like, and you learn in your reading classes and you learn in your RELA, they call it RELA, in your RELA classes, okay, persuasion and persuasive essays and trying to get people to do what you want by presenting things. Well, now you're going to start learning, we can spin what is said. Now, I would straight up say this guy is, fabricating. The first thing he said, the first words out of his mouth were a straight up lie. So he should have done his fact checking before he made this video. But that's my point. Are you doing your fact checking, or are you just taking information and running with it? And then you get yourself in trouble because somebody who does do the fact checking goes, that's not right. Where'd you get your information from? And then you look like a fool. And if, in my opinion, that's the number one thing that school does teach, how to do the research and not look like a fool. That's why they tell you, don't use Wikipedia. But we're going to get to that.
See, every scientist will tell you that no two brains are the same, and every parent with 2 or more children will confirm that claim. So please explain why you treat students like cookie cutter frames or snapback hats, giving them this one-size-fits-all crap.
Watch your language.
Sorry, Your Honor, but if a doctor prescribed the exact same medicine to all of his patients, the results will be tragic. So many people would get sick, yet when it comes to school, this is exactly what happens. This educational malpractice, where one teacher stands in front of 20 kids, each one having different strengths, different needs, different gifts, different dreams, and you teach the same thing the same way? That's horrific. Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant should not be acquitted. This may be one of the worst criminal offenses ever to be committed. And let's mention the way you treat your employees.
Objection. Overruled. I want to hear this.
It's a shame. I mean, teachers have the most important job on the planet, yet they're underpaid? No wonder so many students are short-changed. Let's be honest, teachers should earn just as much as doctors, because a doctor can do heart surgery and save the life of a kid, but a great teacher can reach the heart of that kid and allow him to truly live. See, teachers are heroes that often get blamed, but they're not the problem. They work in a system without many options or rights. Curriculums are created by policymakers.
I also object. I object because I am happy as a teacher. Now, I won't say that, teachers are rich, but I live well. I don't live terribly. I'm not going to argue, hey, you could give me more money. I think everybody could agree that they could get more money. There's a lot of things you could say, okay? This video, okay, once again, this video was given to me by a student, and it is not a fair video. But you see, these are the types of things that are on YouTube, that are on social media, and these are persuasive arguments that are pulling at the heartstrings of people who don't want to do the work but want to have a feeling about something. And it's not fair. So, first of all, not all curriculums are made by policymakers. For instance, the curriculum for the class that you are in right now has been made by the teacher who is teaching it right now. I made this curriculum, okay? I sat down with the principal and I designed it from my own brain. So it's actually made by the teacher, okay? It's approved by higher ups, but they're not policymakers either. They're administrators who were also teachers at one point. So that's not entirely true. So once again, he is not giving you the full truth. Now, there are some curriculums that are made by policymakers, and there's a lot of stuff that is done by policymakers. But do you know why? That's because, like, for instance, when I was a first-year teacher and I was a science teacher, I was provided with a curriculum that came from the state. Absolutely, because I was a first-year teacher. I had no idea how to make a curriculum. So you can't stick somebody in a classroom their first year and expect them to know what I now know after 6 years of teaching. So you got to give them something, okay? And yes, state curriculums and policy make policy curriculums that come down from legislation and the government are usually not that good. I mean, they're okay, but they're boring, and kids don't like them, and kids complain about them, and it's hard. Okay, well, not hard, but, nobody wants to sit and do book work and do all that, right? Like, even now, this is a super long video. Do you want to watch the whole video? You might, because it's interesting, because I've made it interesting. But you might also be getting bored and saying, oh, this is long and boring. Okay, it's just an intro. Okay, we're going to get to the meat. But I wanted to put some things to rest, and this is one of them. Okay, this thought process. Because if you hate school, the reason why you hate school is because people have planted that idea into your head that school is boring and school's no fun and school sucks and you should hate school. And so you grow up thinking you should hate school. Okay, I just talked about my daughters Alexis and Alana. Alexis does not like school because she has been indoctrinated with that thought. And I'm actually her stepdad. I'm not her first dad. So before I came into the picture, she was already indoctrinated with this thought. And I've been working to get it out of her. And slowly I'm making it happen. She's warming up to the idea of learning in school. And because I'm more interesting than a lot of her other teachers. And I understand that not everybody is great at teaching. Okay, and sometimes teachers become teachers and then they realize I'm not a good teacher and they stop being a teacher. Okay, once you get, I guess, to where I am at 6 years of teaching, you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be a teacher, right? Like at some point, anybody who enters into education is usually after their first year, right? So if you have a first year teacher and you go, oh, this teacher's terrible, that's because it's their first year and they're going to decide if they want to keep doing this. But there's always another story to the system. So it's really not fair to poke holes at it and make these types of arguments when they're just not accurate. It's just not accurate. And we're gonna learn a lot about these types of things, as we go along here, because it's important. It's very important, especially with the times that we're in. You're about to receive a real education, and if you've been in my class before, you already know. I bring the real, and I'm starting right here, day 2. Here we go.
Most of which have never taught a day in their life, just obsessed with standardized tests. They think bubbling in a multiple choice question will determine success. That's outlandish. In fact, these tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned, but don't take my word for it. Take Frederick J. Kelly, the man who invented standardized testing, who said, and I quote, "These tests are too crude to be used."
Okay, so this quote is true. I did do my research. I clicked on these. I didn't want to click in the video because, advertising and there's other things that are popping up that I don't want to show on my video. But Frederick J. Kelly did invent standardized testing. Actually, he actually invented multiple choice questions. He was the first one to use multiple choice questions. And then he did his studies and all that. And, I did click several of these links, but like here you got the Washington Post. And he did actually say that. So he did not intend for standardized testing to become what it has become. Now, that part of this video, okay, I would agree with what he is saying here. That they are too crude to be used. And actually, if you go talk to our superintendent, Ms. Fagan, she's against the standardized test. She's against the STAR test. Most teachers are against the STAR test. Most of us are against the STAR test for many different reasons. But, like I myself really don't like the test because I agree that it doesn't really test your knowledge or ability of doing something. So, I'll give you a prime example. If I sat you down and you read a book on how to ride a bike and then took a multiple choice question on how to ride a bike, that does not mean that I could then take you out to the street, give you a bike, and you'd be able to ride the bike. So that's why I don't really approve of standardized tests. But as you'll learn in my class, I don't really do testing anyway. It's your actual ability to do something. Can you create a Google Doc, fill it out the way I want, and answer the questions full-heartedly and give me your answer? That was day 1. Day 1. Okay, I want you to give me a Google Doc with your real feelings and your real thoughts, and we're going to have a discussion, even if it's just typing, right? And that's what you did, and you turned it in. Okay, so you can do that. I don't need to give you a test that says, how do you open a Google Doc? A, click on Microsoft Word. B, two wrong answers, and then, two answers that might be right, and the one is the perfectly right. Like, that doesn't tell me you could do it. That tells me you know how to read something and spit the answer back out at me. And that doesn't mean anything, because as an adult, I could tell you I have taken many tests that I have then forgot everything that I learned on the test or memorized for the test, because I didn't learn it, I just memorized it. There is a difference between learning and memorization. And in this class, you will do learning, very little memorization.
And should be abandoned. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if we continue down this road, the results will be lethal. I don't have much faith in school, but I do have faith in people. And if we can customize healthcare, cars, and Facebook pages, then it is our duty to do the same for education, to upgrade it, change it, do away with school spirit, because that's useless unless we're working to bring the spirit out of each and every student. That should be our task. No more Common Core. Instead, let's reach the core of every heart in every class. Sure, math is important, but no more than art or dance. Let's give every gift an equal chance. I know this sounds like a dream, but countries like Finland are doing impressive things. They have shorter school days, teachers make a decent wage, homework is non-existent, and they focus on collaboration instead of competition. But here's the kicker, boys and girls. Their educational system outperforms every other country in the world. Other places like Singapore are succeeding rapidly. Schools like Montessori, programs like Khan Academy. There is no single solution, but let's get moving. Because while students may be 20% of our population, they are 100% of our future. So let's attend to their dreams, and there's no telling what we can achieve. This is a world in which I believe. A world where fish are no longer forced to climb trees. I'll rest my case.
So, I agree with some of the things that he's saying. Obviously, children are the future. I agree that there are aspects of school that could be different. My disagreement is in the presentation of this video. And that's why I use this video in my opening, because it's a lot of really misinformation. I showed you right off the bat how he's not telling the quote that he uses in the beginning is not true. And then in the end, it's like, oh, fish are not going to climb trees. Okay, so here's my final retort to that. You're not a fish. You are not being asked to do anything that any other human has done. You're saying a fish can't climb a tree. That's true. A fish can't climb a tree, but every child can pass the standardized test. Like every kid could get an A or top score on the STAR test. Every kid. It's not Yes, there are learning styles. There are, visual learners. There are audio learners. Then there are kinesthetic learners. But if I were to give you a test right now and it were to say that you are a visual learner, that doesn't mean that that's the only way that you can learn. That just means that you are strongest in your visual learning. I was a visual learner. Most kids are visual learners in their youth. And then when you grow up, when you become an adult, you become more of an auditory learner, right? So as time goes on, you pick up the other learning styles. And I think that the injustice that's being done right now is fitting you into a box and saying, this is what you are. You don't know what you are, okay? When I first started as a teacher 6 years ago, I was really trying to learn how to pull the intrinsic desire out of each kid to learn. Like, okay, intrinsically, what would make you really want to do something? Okay. Well, now I've learned after 6 years that that's the wrong way to do it, because you don't know intrinsically what you want to do. Lots of kids don't know. Like if I go around the room and I ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some kids know the answer to that question, and other kids don't know the answer to that question. And you know what? I knew the answer to that question when I was a kid, but I said I wanted to make video games for a living, and I don't make video games for a living. So, I mean, I do teach video game creation, like I do teach programming. So I use aspects of what I learned, and now I'm giving it to you. So I do sort of do what I wanted to do when I was younger, right? But it's not like I'm working for Blizzard or Nintendo or Sega, which is what my thought process was when I was your age. I thought I'm going to grow up and work for Nintendo, or I'm going to grow up and work. Well, it turned into I want to work for Blizzard, but obviously I'm not working for Blizzard. However, if we're running an esports team this year and we're playing Heroes of the Storm or some Blizzard type game like Hearthstone, then I'm still sort of doing it. I have a job in this thing, right? So I've now learned as a teacher, it's not about trying to get you to have an intrinsic value to something, but for me to present something that really gets you going, and then you find your intrinsic value. It's teachers who are here to inspire. That's the point. You are here to do as much as you can and figure out what you want to do. Like, okay, I did all these things and I've learned that I'm really good at this stuff, or I really like this stuff, right? So that's what this is all about. And, through the course of all these things, so for instance, when I was your age, I wasn't very good at math. I really wasn't. I was great at science. I liked exploration. I liked experimentation. But when it came to hardcore mathematics, that was not fun for me. But I did like reading. And I meet kids who are the opposite, right? They hate reading, but they're actually good at math. And in that way, people are different. That's what that is. In that way, people are different. However, you can learn the other things. You can pick that up. So to say, oh, this person, if you're not good at math, you can become good at math. Like now I'm pretty good at math. Like I sat down and I worked it out, and you put the effort in, and it's a work ethic. It's not, oh, this person was born smart. You're not born naturally smart. It's whether or not you're willing to put the work in. So that's why I use this video, because number one, it shows you how misinformation can be used to present something that's just not true. Also, it really makes you think, okay, it's not so much the system, but what I'm doing with it. How, what is my attitude when I come to school? If my attitude is school sucks, then school's going to suck. But if my attitude is, let me see what I can make happen out of this, you're going to have it. It's another expression. You get out of it what you put into it. Okay. And what that means is the attitude you bring to the table, that's what you're going to come out with. If you say, oh, this is terrible, okay, well, it's about to be terrible because you feel that it's going to be terrible. Okay. You got to change your mindset. You got to change, what you're thinking will control what actually happens. Okay. Plain and simple. So let's stop this, and then I'm going to look at the time frame, and we'll see what we're going to do in the next video.